Good afternoon, everybody. It's Victoria in Agent Development. Let me share my screen with you all. That would probably be helpful. As a reminder, you guys are all muted, so if you have any questions while I'm going through this, just feel free to throw them in the little question control panel pop-out thingy, and I'll try and keep an eyeball on those, and then I'll make sure I look at it at the end for sure. We are going to talk about Buyside today. So we're probably going to spend the next, I don't know, maybe 40, 45 minutes covering Buyside. I tend to go through it pretty quick because I think it's a pretty easy tool to use, but we could, spend up to the next 60 minutes if people have a lot of questions. So let's go ahead and get on into it and talk about Buyside. So you probably are all aware that each and every one of you has your own website, right? It's this. I'm on Carrie's right here. It is the, talktotucker.com/firstname.lastname that everybody has. But when you come to it, it kind of is a little bit more geared towards buyers here, right up at the top, right? The very first thing is buy. It wants you to type in an address or a zip code or a school or an MLS number to look for properties that are already available to purchase. Now, if somebody keeps scrolling down on your website, they get about halfway down, and there's this widget here that says, what is your home worth? Find the market value of your home, completely free, type in your address, here you go. But people don't tend to read, and they tend to be a little bit short-sighted, right? Maybe don't scroll all the way down. We're a little kind of all over the place. What if I told you you have a separate website that is completely just dedicated to this home valuation tool? Awesome, right? That's where Buyside comes in. So here is mine. And you can see up here at the top, the URL is homevalues.talktotucker.com/your-first-name.last-name. So I do have one of these home valuation tools. I just use it as a teaching tool, a training tool. So if I was an agent and somebody were to come to Agent Victoria's website, this is what they would see. This is what they would see if they went to any of your guys' websites. It would just be homevalues.talktotucker.com/your-first-name.your-last-name, and it'll be branded to you. So you can see it's like, what is your home worth? Check the current market value. It prompts them to put in an address to check the valuation of, versus, this is sort of prompts you, the very first thing is looking for properties to purchase. So let's go back to my home valuation site. This is what the consumer sees. So if the consumer were to come to a home valuation site, obviously, what is your home worth here? And then if they scroll down a little bit, it just kind of explains what they're going to get. It includes, home values, buyer breakdown, recent sales. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and put in an address. And as I start typing, it's going to kind of give me a little drop down. Boom, there we go. This is the property that I want, and I'm going to hit search. Maybe it's thinking. Okay, awesome. So this is still, again, what the consumer is seeing. So the consumer has entered in an address, and it gives a little bit of info here. This is pulling from the tax record. So this says it's a 3-bed, 1-bath. I actually know that to be incorrect. But for whatever, somewhere it got put in, as that some point in time. So it's just pulling from the tax records. If the consumer tries to edit this, it sort of prompts, it does that thing verify your ownership. We want you, we want to prove that you are who you say you are, that you actually are the owner. It shows the agent's name here. They can even sign up to receive monthly updates on this property. All they do is they put in their name and an email address, click get it now. You as the agent don't have to do anything. The system just does it. They will get an email almost immediately, and then every 30 days, from the day that they were to sign up, they would get another email. You don't have to do anything. They can unsubscribe if they don't want it anymore. But let's keep scrolling. So we're going to get a Google Street view. Sometimes it's a spinny around view. Sometimes it's an overhead view, but it'll show us, the neighborhood and where the house is and everything. And it gives us these three valuations. And you'll notice the The big Z word is here. We're just going to kind of ignore that. But you can see that there's like a pretty, there's not like a terribly wide discrepancy here, but I would say, you know, 324 versus 298, there's a bit of a difference there. And the computer recognizes that too. It says, do you notice a variation in the valuations above? I got a question here. You could if you wanted to, Lynn. So her question was, can we give this site our own personal URL? If you wanted to, you could have it redirect. So I know some people who have like a lot of letters in their name have done something smaller, or just even used like a tiny URL or a bit.ly or something like that to make it a little bit shorter. If you wanted to redirect, you totally could. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Oh, well, if they blocked you, then I don't know. That's a question for IT. That's a little bit above me. So it could be something to do with Buyside. It could be something in their terms of service that I don't know. Okay, so back to these home valuations. So we've got 3 of them here, and it says, do you notice a variation in the values above? A realtor understands your home better than a cold computer valuation model. Ask an FC Tucker agent to create, a CMA, blah, blah, blah. We're recognizing that these are just powered by, public data, what the computer can gather. They can't walk through someone's home and know that, something has been updated, or maybe something hasn't been updated, or things like that. They can't do what you as the agent can do and actually go and visit the home. So we understand all of that. This is just sort of a jumping off point to try and get seller leads. That's what this sort of first part of it is. I like to think of Buyside as sort of having like 3 separate pieces to it, kind of 3 separate legs. And the first leg is using this home valuation site to help get seller leads, basically. So getting your home valuation site out there, putting it in your email signature, putting it on any other piece of mail that you're sending out, and just really driving traffic to your home valuation site. So again, this is still what the consumer is seeing. So let's scroll down a little bit more. It's even prompting the consumer to contact Victoria, the agent. It's going to ask questions like, what is the condition of the property? Again, if someone starts clicking and saying that they're an owner, it asks for verification. It gives them a heat map saying that we know where and what buyers are searching for. So you can see the darker the color, the more active the searches are. These kind of like little dotted lines don't really represent like areas so much. It's literally just based on like search criteria that people are looking for. And it breaks some of that down by price, by bedroom, right? Buyer activity in the last 90 days. I should say all of this data that we're seeing on Buyside, all of this data is coming from Talk to Tucker. So when we say that this is where people are searching, these are all searches on talktotucker.com. But remember, talktotucker.com gets more traffic than MyBor and Realtor.com combined. Like, we have literally millions of people that come to our website. So that's why this here, this buyer activity in the last 90 days, almost 20 million people came to talktotucker.com in the last 90 days and were searching for homes. Like, isn't that insane? And then it just sort of funnels this down. You can see online activity within a 5-mile radius, 5-mile radius within the home's price range, 5-mile radius, home's price range, looking for a 3-bedroom. I told you at the beginning, this home is not a 3-bedroom, it's actually a 4. And we'll see these numbers change a little bit later because we, as the agent, can tweak some of that. But I just want you to see over, 330,000 people have been looking for a home like this one. That seems like a pretty impressive number if you ask me, because we just need one, right? We just need one buyer. And then again, it keeps breaking it down. The next thing it shows the consumer is, hey, we have 32 potential buyers for this property searching in that price range. So it's what those computer valuation models are showing. And here they are. Now, we don't know who they are yet, right? but we're basically saying to the consumer, hey, we know who these people are. You should contact this agent and then they'll be able to hook you up. And we're going to come back to who these 32 people are and how we as the agent find out who these people are. We won't actually know who the people are, but we'll know who their agents are. And then again, I'm still looking at this as the consumer. We get some supply side trends. It shows us recent nearby sales in the neighborhood. And that's kind of it. And then again, like contact the agent, receive a monthly update. It keeps giving like a call to action to contact the agent, okay? So awesome, fantastic. Somebody came to my home valuation site. They put in an address. I just got an email. So if we hop into my email, we will see. Sorry, I should have had this pulled up. Apologies. Here it comes. Google's been a little slow today. Of course, right? It wants to stall that. There it is, ding, ding, ding. Buyside, alert, someone just checked the valuation of their home. So because I went to my own valuation site, right, I got the email. But basically it says, alert, someone just checked the valuation of their home. It gives me the address and it gives me the property owner. Spoiler alert, this is my house. If I owned my home with a second person, that other person's name would also show up here. So typically we see like two people on tax records, right? I don't own my home with anybody else, so we just see my name. But if there was somebody else, we would see them here. And this is basically saying like, hey, you have something that you can go and do. Somebody was on your valuation site. Let's go see if they provided any more information. So how do we go and see that? We're going to go into the backside of Buyside. And I hop around a lot in this one. I'm sorry, it just kind of is how it is. But if I come to Okta, everybody has a Buyside widget on their Okta dashboard. Where is mine? That's a great question. There it is, right up at the top. I scrolled right past it. So over here on the right kind of upper corner is where mine is. Just scroll through, but everybody has one. The only way to log into Buyside is through Okta. So you have to come to Okta and click on the Buyside little app or widget guy. So when I click on him, I will probably get, yep, it kind of says like, this is not secure. We don't like this. Always just click send anyway. We trust Buyside. So I'm going to click on send anyway, and it's going to bring me to my Buyside dashboard. So there's not a ton here. If I had some buyers, you can add buyers manually. We're going to talk about how to do all of that. If I had any current listings, my listings would show up right here. But the thing that I want to focus on is this giant green circle over here that says valuation attempts, right? So I have one. If multiple people had been checking the value, or even if this person did more than one, like if they looked up more than one address, it would show me each one of those. But it shows I've got one valuation attempt. So I'm going to click on that big green circle. And it's going to show it to me. So here it is. So bummer, no name provided. So at this point, we don't quite know who checked the valuation of this home. It's giving us the owner name from the tax records, and obviously it's giving us that address. But unfortunately, the person who checked the valuation of this home didn't give us any other information. So, you know, out of like ice cold to boiling hot, this lead is kind of just like lukewarm, maybe. I would probably still add this person to my CRM. Spoiler alert, you don't have to do that manually anymore. It actually will do it for you. If you are using our new CRM, Engage, which is powered by MoxieWorks, Buyside is actually integrated to Engage and will capture this person's info if they include some of their info, and we'll put it right into the CRM. Now, unfortunately, this person didn't provide any info, so I would have to do this one manually. So I'd have to go in and say owner name and their address. At this point, the only thing I can really do though is like send them snail mail, right? I don't have a phone number. I don't have an email address. It kind of stinks, but I could still send them something. We've actually already created that something for you. So I told you I was going to hop around a lot. I'm going to go into the toolbox. Oops, not talk to Ducker. I'm going to go to the toolbox, log in, and I'm always like, where's the stuff for Buyside? I never quite remember. So I just like to use the search bar. Just start typing Buyside. There's a whole page of stuff here. And we'll come back to these social media graphics. I'm going to scroll down past that. But just past all that social media stuff is this follow-up letter. The very first time I click on it, it prompts me to make a copy for a version that I can edit, right? And then you'll want to come down here and replace Cookie Monster with your photo and your contact info. Let me zoom in a little bit. So it's on Tucker letterhead. Down here at the bottom, you can see you want to put in your own info. And then it basically says like, hey, I'm following up on a recent home valuation request that I received, on your property. If you are, thinking about selling, I would love to be able to sit down with you and talk to you about selling your home. However, if you did not request this valuation, it's possible that there might be a buyer interested in selling your home, and I would still love to sit down and talk to you about possibly selling your home, right? So at minimum, at this point, this is all you can really do, because again, that person didn't say whether they were the owner or not. When they checked the valuation of that home, it could have been, a nosy neighbor. It could have been an ex-boyfriend. It could have been somebody who has just always driven past and said, you know what, if that house ever, came on the market, I would love to buy it. That just looks like my dream home to me, and I wonder what it's worth. So it could have just been somebody like that, right? We don't really know. So like I said, at minimum, I would throw this person into my CRM and I would send them this letter. I know an agent who would keep copies of this just like in her desk and would then put them in like a yellow envelope just to be a little bit more noticeable, hand address it on the outside, stick a real stamp on it. People tend to open that type of mail a little bit more, instead of it just looking like it was run through the postage meter, like en masse, a little bit more personable, right? And then would mail them out. And she actually got a listing off of like sending out a Buyside letter. She had somebody contact her. So that was a win. But anyway, so here's that letter. I'm going to hop back into my dashboard in Buyside, wrong tab. So here we are. So again, at this point, this lead is kind of like meh, warm. Let me see if I've got one that is a lot hotter that I could show you. Ding, ding, ding. Here we go. So in this instance, we can see that Victoria was the owner. And hey, she said she was the owner. She gave us her name. She gave us her email address. She did subscribe to get that monthly report. I subsequently unsubscribed because I don't need to send myself a report on my own home. But I did subscribe. I filled it out. And that's how it captured my name and my email address. In this instance, because the person provided their name and their email, this data was captured and was thrown right into my CRM, right into Engage. It categorizes it as the lead coming from Buyside. So if I'm sort of like, who is this person? It shows me like, oh, it was a Buyside lead. Okay, that makes sense. If I don't know them personally. And this is a whole lot hotter, right? Because this person's already in my CRM. I'm going to sign them up, make sure they're getting the neighborhood news in Engage in the CRM. I'm also going to make sure they're getting the Market Watch and the Tucker Trending at Home newsletter. They're suddenly going to be getting a lot of stuff from me, right? So that I stay top of mind. And in this instance, it's the homeowner who checked the valuation of her own home. I could say maybe she's thinking about selling and go from there and try to convert this Buyside lead into a potential listing, right? So that is sort of the first leg of this, getting your valuation site out there, capturing people's information, and then converting those leads into listings, which is also where, if I go back into the toolbox and I scroll back up, marketing has already created, these social media graphics that you could use to load onto Facebook. I think these will work on Instagram as well. Instagram, you can't include a link though, which is kind of stinky, right? You can put a link in your bio and you can say link in bio and do it that way. Facebook is a little bit nicer. You can actually paste the links right in the posts and get people to click on them. But basically, we've created a bunch of these. Throw this on Facebook. I know some people who will hyperlink in their email signature. So if you ever get, emails from other agents and at the bottom of their email signature, it says, wondering what your home is worth, click here to find out. They've just hyperlinked to their valuation site, again, which is that homevalues.talktotucker.com/first-name.last name. And they're just putting it out there. They're just trying to get people to click on it, put in their whatever address, whether it's their address or just somebody's they're curious about, and get those leads captured, again, to try to convert them. So that's what these social media graphics are all about. It tells you right here, your home URL is this. So if you go to type it in and you're like, what was it again? It's right here. There's also a branding primer that's available in here. It just talks about some good, good practices. So here we go. I think it shows. Yeah, here we go. Speak to your audience, make it clickable. So here, search for a home. That would go directly to your regular Tucker website. Find a home's value. That would go to your valuation site. So you can hyperlink in your email signatures. If you need help with that, just let me know. I can shoot you a quick video that shows how to do that. And then it talks about, some of the other marketing pieces and things like that. So this is all here. There's that letter. At the bottom, there's even like flyers and postcards that you can send out about wondering what your home is worth. So again, getting that valuation site out into the universe, getting people to click on it, getting them to go to your home valuation site and provide you with possible leads. So that's sort of the first leg. So let's say that we, whether it's one of these here that we've converted or just somebody else that that says, hey, we're thinking about listing our home with you. The BMA in Buyside is a great way to help convert those leads into actual listing contracts. So in Buyside, the BMA stands for Buyer Market Analysis. And it's up here at the top. So again, I'm in the back side of Buyside. I'm on my Buyside dashboard. Up here at the top is the BMA. If I click on this guy, it's going to ask me for an address. We'll just go ahead and use the same one. And as I start typing, you'll notice I get that same drop down. My computer wants to autofill, but I get that same drop down. And then it says, okay, here's some of the details about the property. You may or may not know that this is correct or not. Again, it's pulling from the tax records. I live here, so I do know that this is incorrect. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath. Square footage looks about correct. Again, you may or may not know that. You may or may not know anything about the lot size. You do have to select. The default is single family detached, but it could be a condo or a townhouse or whatever. You can change it. And then we're going to hit next. Now it says hey, do you want to include any of these valuations in your buyer market analysis? You don't have to. But in the training department, we kind of like to think of these as again, a jumping off point to sort of see where your potential sellers are kind of thinking, where their brain is at. And then it allows you to respond, if they're way off base, you think they're way too high. It allows you to kind of respond in an appropriate manner of, well, why do you think it's, at that price point? And maybe then we start looking at the comps and things like that. So you don't have to include any of these. For this demonstration, I'm going to include all 3 of them. So I'm going to click on them, turn them green. You can include your own estimate here if you want to, but I'm going to skip it. And then it shows us that there are 56 featured buyers that potentially match for this home. That is a lot, right? 56. But you will notice that the range for those 56 buyers is from 246 to 362. And I think that that's a little off base. So I'm going to pull this up. I definitely don't think we should go less than 280. I think the 360 is kind of high, so I'm going to pull this down a little bit. Let's go to like 320. See where that leaves us at. Okay, so that number definitely decreased, right? 39. But 39 is still great. If you could say to this potential seller, like, hey, I know 30 buyers already, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that's great. Again, we only need one, right? So I'm happy with that number of 39. I'm going to go ahead and generate this PDF. This is probably the longest part of this, the actual like creation of this PDF. It's going to take us about a full 60 seconds. Now, we're going to look at this report. I think that this is a great piece to include in a listing presentation. And you have a couple of options of how you might want to include this BMA, this buyer market analysis. You could do as we have always done and print it out. Maybe comb bind it in your office. All the offices have those nice, plastic comb binding machines. And you could print it out and leave it behind. You could also upload these PDFs in Present, which is another Moxie product, right? Along with Engage, we now have Present, which makes it really easy to make beautiful digital presentations. And you never know that the pieces that you're uploading are PDFs. So you could do either of those. You could maybe even do both if you wanted. You could include it in the nice digital presentation, show that to your clients in person. Then obviously you can email it to them so they have a copy of it and they can go through the presentation at any time. Or you might even do that and print it out and leave behind a hard copy. Totally up to you, whatever works best for you, whatever you think would work best for specific clients. It's completely your call. So we always just used to say, print this out, take this with you. But now with Present, I think there's just another added layer that you could, throw this whole BMA into a presentation in Present and just make it look really slick. So it's up to you, but let's take a look at what it looks like, right? Okay, here it is. So it's branded to Tucker, and it is branded to, the property, and it's branded to you as an agent. The second page is just like a why list with Tucker. You're obviously not going to go through every single one of these. Maybe you pick out like one or two things you want to talk about. That's why that's kind of a nice leave behind. Whether you do it digitally or hard copy, you can leave this with your clients and then they can look at all of it, right? So then here are those real-time valuations. This is where you could say, like, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what do you think of these numbers? Where do you think that we are in relationship to these computer-generated valuations? And then kind of go from there, see where they kind of lead the conversation, and then, you can talk to them about the price of their home. Okay? And it depends upon whether you like to do like a one-step listing presentation. Some people prefer to do a two-step listing presentation. It's really totally up to you. Use these tools, how best they fit into your practice. All right, so there's those valuations. The next one down, it shows us that heat map again. And we saw this as Victoria's, or as the consumer looking at Agent Victoria's website. But now as Victoria, the realtor, I can say, here, we know that people are searching for a home like yours in this area. We can see that this is this dark red color. And again, all of this data, where we know that these buyers are searching, these are all searches on talktotucker.com, right? So you can explain, what that is. And then here again, it looks at that online activity. This is activity in the last 90 days on talktotucker.com. So we're still at that, 19.5 million. This number though has changed. Remember when we looked at it before and it thought that my home was a 3-bed, 1-bath, there were over 300,000 people looking. Now that number got a little bit smaller, 135,000, 5-mile radius, this price range, 4-bedroom. So those numbers did change, but that's because we tweaked, the data a little bit, but still, heck, 135,000 people, that's a whole lot of people when we only need one. And it breaks it down even more, bedroom, price range. And then here is sort of the cherry on the top. with this BMA, you can say to these potential sellers, if you list with me, I know of 39 people right now in my sphere who are looking for a home like yours, searching between 280 and 320, which I think the 320 is probably a little high, but irregardless, if you list with me, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I will be able to see who these 39 people's agents are. Again, you're never going to know who the clients are, but you will know who their agents are. And where this data is coming from, these are saved searches on talktotucker.com. So these agents are only going to be Tucker agents. The way that that works is when somebody goes to talktotucker.com, right? You might have noticed in the very upper right-hand corner here where it says sign in or join. Well, mine logged me in immediately. Let me log out. It says sign in or join. When somebody clicks on that, they can, of course, sign in, or if it says don't have an account, sign up here. They put in their name, their email, their phone number, they create a password, and then there's an entire list of every single agent in the whole company. So basically, they choose their agent. Again, this is the buyer, and they create an account, and then they can create saved searches for specific types of homes. It's the same thing that we do on Matrix, right? We create saved searches for our clients. It sends them emails. It's the same kind of thing, but you get a couple of other perks. So I'm going to log in. I bought a house last year. So the one on Delzell, I bought about just a little over a year ago. And so I used my Tucker. I came in here, I created an account for myself because I'm familiar with how it all works. I would really recommend to agents that they create an account for their clients, because when they sign up, if they don't select you as their agent, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get you associated with them. You have to contact business services. So it's not like a huge pain in the butt, like anybody in business services will be like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll help you out, no problem. You just can't do it yourself, or your client can't do it themselves. So just to avoid that hassle, a lot of times, in training, we will tell people just create a profile for your clients on talktotucker.com. Get their permission. Say, hey, I'm going to set you up, a search on TalkToTucker as well, and just create the password for them and do it that way. So I don't have any current saved lists or saved searches right here, just because I don't need any, but you can see that I have, saved listings. So there were 11 that I saved over the course of, I was looking for a home. But if I had any saved searches, they would be right here. And they're pretty simple. It's, what type of property, how many bedrooms, area, price range. It's the important kind of stuff, right? So they can set up more than one saved search on talktotucker.com. So if they're looking at multiple areas, and then they also get like the My Tucker perks. So a lot of our vendors offer like coupons and discounts and specials to people. So like Heritage, here you go, 10% off any, painting project, plus additional discounts available, things like that. So they get the My Tucker perks. It's all like wrapped up into one thing. And then if you keep scrolling down, they would see you as their agent. So Josh out of the Crosspoint office is my agent, so that's why I see him here. And then I can like edit some other stuff. But that's basically what that is. So if I had a saved search here, that's what's going to show up here. So that's where that 39 is pulling from. There are 39 people right now on talktotucker.com who have a saved search set up to where like my home is registering that it would be a good fit for them, right? I'm not looking to sell it, but I guess if I wanted to, we know that I have potential buyers, right? So anyway, at this point, you're still in your listing presentation. You're saying, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, list with me. I can reach out to the agents of these 39 people and find out, if they're still looking for a home, which they probably are if they still have their search set up, if they haven't canceled it. But we can like do a deal a little bit quicker. I can find you a buyer, sooner rather than later. I know that the market has been a little insane where we have more buyers really than we have inventory, but things are slowly kind of maybe getting back to something considered normal. I still think that this is a great way to say, like, you know, I have this network of people, and let me do what I do best and find you the perfect fit. Help, like, let me find you the buyer that's best for your home, right? Not treading anywhere near like fair housing issues. When I say that, I just mean like, we're going to get it closed for top dollar, you know, in the easiest way that I know how. Okay. So that's what this is. That's where that BMA is. So hopefully if you use this BMA, this will help you, you know, win that listing. So that's kind of leg 2. So leg 1 was finding potential seller leads. Leg 2 is really using this BMA. And if you don't use Buyside for anything else, use it for the BMA. Like, come in here, create this, buddy, use it. Whether you print it or you throw it into Present, whatever, use this BMA. KB will tell you this is like, before we got Present, this was like the first, like 6 pages of his listing presentation. Okay. So again, if you don't use Buyside for anything else, use it for the BMA. All right. So the last part is finding out, how the heck do we find out who these 39 people are, right? And I can't show you an exact example of it because I don't have any listings because I'm not an agent. But if I had listings, I would just come back into Buyside, be on my dashboard, right? Remember how I pointed out at the beginning here, it says my listings 0. If I had listings, guess what? They would all show up right here. Sorry, I had to get a drink. My listings would all show up right here. I would be able to just simply click on my listing, and then it would show me these 39 people. Whoops, where did it go? Sorry, if I could find it. It would show me who the agents are for these 39 people. So literally, you just go into the backside of Buyside, you click on your listing, because again, we won't know who these people are until they say, yes, we want to list with you. The listing goes live in Matrix. Give it about 7 minutes to sync with talktotucker.com, and then you can hop into the backside of Buyside. And we will see these same buyer ID numbers, but then it'll show us who the Tucker agent associated with that buyer ID, who that person is. It's really cool. It also gives you like a percentage listing where it says like, oh yeah, buyer ID like 6552946 is a 100% match. So what you're offering in your listing is exactly what they're looking for to purchase. So that, you know, probably means number of bathrooms, bedrooms, price point, location, like it's an exact fit. And then those goes 100%ers go at the top. And then as you work your way down through the list, it could be something like, oh, like an 80% match, you know, you have 1 less bedroom than their ideal like search criteria. But the really cool thing is it shows you exactly who those Tucker agents are, gives them by name. There are probably people in there that you will start to, you know, recognize. Oh, hey, yeah, I've done, you know, I've done a deal with Jerry Gemicky. He's great. I'm absolutely going to call him. I'm going to reach out to him and say, hey, Jerry, I see that you have a buyer who is looking for something like my listing that just went live. I don't know if you've seen it yet or had a chance to, you know, view any of the details. But I loved working with you last time. I sure would appreciate it if you showed your buyer my listing. That kind of stuff, right? You guys know how to do it. I don't have to tell you how to do your job. But the awesome thing is that we know then who the agents are that are representing these buyers. Occasionally, you'll see things like, instead of an agent name, you'll see things pop up that say like customer care. That means that that person came through like business services through our e-leads. Sometimes you will see, and so they didn't have an agent, right? They weren't associated with anybody. They just like straight up called Tucker and was like, hey, I want to buy a house. Okay, cool. Or you will see sometimes where it'll say like no agent given. That's just the stinky thing about somebody came to talktotucker.com. They created one of these profiles, but they didn't associate themselves with an agent. So again, they totally might not be working with an agent. They just said, oh, hey, I know Tucker. Yes, I want to set up some saved searches, and they don't have an agent. So occasionally you will see where there's not like an agent associated with those buyers. That's why you will see that. But if people are coming here, they're selecting their own agent, or the agent is setting this up for them, that's why you'll see those agent names, which is ideally, if you have a buyer client, you should be using this and putting your buyers, setting your buyers up with saved searches so that when you are the listing agent, you can find out who those buyers agents are, right? It's all just like one big cooperative circle, goes around and around and around. Okay, so they would show up here. Like I said, they would be right here under the My Listings. I'm sorry that I can't show you what one specifically looks like, but it's really super self-explanatory. I would see a photo of my listing. I could click right on it, and it would give me all that information. Pretty straightforward. You can email through this system, but I wouldn't recommend that, right? I would probably reach out directly to that agent, whether that's call, text, maybe send an email. I don't know. I would definitely probably call them though. Okay, last thing real quick is the way that I got that email right. So when I went to my home value site and I put in my own info, I got that email that said, alert, somebody has checked the valuation of their home. These notifications are not turned on by default. So if I go into Buyside, up here in the very upper right-hand corner, if I hover over my name, there's one that says My Account. If I click on that, you've got some info that you can include. So it's got my name already, it's got my email. You can include your mobile phones, like your cell and anything like that. Over here on the left-hand side, there's a little menu. So if I go to My Photo, I can upload a photo. I really suggest that you do. That's what ends up showing up right here, right? So if you don't upload a photo, I don't know if it just shows nothing or it might be one of those grayed out boxes, which is not cute, right? So upload a photo. Don't change your password, skip that. But then again, over here on the left-hand side where it says notification settings, this is the really important one. Turn both of these buddies on. Where it says email from other users, yes. But the really important one is valuation attempts, yes. We want to make sure that you are getting notified when someone comes to your valuation site, right? So switch those both to yes, click update over in the lower right-hand corner, and it will save it. And that's the important one. I would say, make sure you get your photo in here, but really make sure you turn on those notification settings so you are notified when somebody puts in their address. Okay. So the very last thing, I'm going to come back to the toolbox. There's this whole page here that includes all of this Buyside stuff. So those social media graphics we talked about, that follow-up letter we talked about. About halfway down the page, though, where it says Buyside training resources, there's Buyside best practices. It talks about a lot of what I just went over. There's a whole user guide, but the one that I really like is here in the middle where it says using the buyer market analysis. This is just a PDF. You could download it if you wanted to. It walks you through how to create that BMA. So what we just did, right? It shows how to create it, yada, yada, yada. But then starting on page 6, there is dialogue here that talks about how to talk about each of those pages with your potential sellers. So, page 1, page 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, every single one of these gives you some dialogue. So on page 3, where it shows those estimates, right, those cold computer valuations, this is the dialogue. You may have seen some price estimates for your home. It's important to note these are computer generated models. They can't take into account features like I can while I walk through your home, that kind of stuff. Obviously, you're not going to read these word for word, but I think that it's some great, it's a great jumping off point. It's some great verbiage to sort of start with. Of course, make it your own, make it sound like yourself, but there's just some great dialogue included in this piece about the BMA. Let me go back one to the toolbox, right where we were. So that's here. Like I said, it's on the Buyside page, about halfway down under Buyside Training Resources. It's using the buyer market analysis. They have a help center, they have support, there's more stuff here about Buyside, and then of course there are those instant flyers or postcards. They all include like a QR code. I think that anything that you have created, you could include a QR code to, load your valuation site. So even if you're sending out something about like a just listed postcard, you could put somewhere on the back, wondering what your home is worth, scan this QR code. Here, I just downloaded the postcard just so you could see. There it is. That QR code there would go to my valuation site. So I'm a big fan of the QR code. I know it sort of like got really popular with COVID. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. So any type of print product like this, I would include a QR code for your valuation site. Okay. All right. So I've jumped around every which way. I really, really hope this was helpful. If anybody has any other questions, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, I would really encourage you guys, man, if I could open the right tab. I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. Otherwise, I would just encourage everybody to come to their home valuation site, try it out. If you weren't following along with me, go and do one, on your own property, check the valuation of your home, then go create a BMA and get comfortable using the tool. And like I said, if you don't use Buyside for anything other than the BMA, you're already like a step above people who aren't using it at all, right? But I would come here, homevalues.talktotucker.com/firstname.lastname, and just start getting familiar with it. And if you do have any questions that come up, you know where to find me in agent development, Victoria@talktotucker.com. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Monday. See you later.